Welcome to Conversations with Cox and Kielseth, and to be more specific, that is filmmaker Alex Cox and myself, film curator Pablo Kielseth. Alex will join us by phone from his home in Oregon, while I sneak away from my office to call him from one of the projection booths used by the International Film Series, which has been screening foreign and independent movies at CU Boulder since 1941. We will keep our chats to about 20 minutes as we discuss whatever movie-related topics grab our fancy. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, action.
Street, that's all I got to say. Street this time.
Pablo, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
Very well.
Well, I guess.
Here I am too, Pablo.
Oh, Todd, excellent. Well, listen, to the both of you, I am opening up a beer and cheering the air in your direction, and a toast. Thanks for joining.
Cheers. And Todd hasn't got any wine because she's afraid it's going to spill all over the dogs here, but I've got a pearl beer. Cheers.
Excellent. Cheers. So today we've got, I think it's going to be a fun one to discuss, especially for dog lovers out there. We are going to be talking about a documentary that's distributed by our friends at Magnolia Pictures. It's in Turkish with English subtitles. A lean, trim 72 minutes that feels just right, though. I mean, it's you definitely don't feel like it's too short or too long. It's just perfect. It's interspersed with quotes by Greek philosophers, but it's about three stray dogs, and it's a very moving documentary. It's called Stray. It premieres nationwide Friday, March 5th and onward through virtual cinemas, such as at ours at internationalfilmseries.com, where the distributors are graciously sharing half of the proceeds with us. This documentary, Stray, was directed by Elizabeth Lowe, who she didn't just direct, she photographed, she edited, and it's basically you get down on the street, dog level, and you kind of watch life on the streets of Istanbul. It harkens back a little bit. Of course, people will think of this, IFS customers especially, who saw Kedi, which was the Turkish documentary from 2016 that focused on stray cats that lived on the streets of Istanbul. And yet I have to say, it has a very different feel. And I'm a cat lover, of course. Todd, Alex, you both are dog lovers, and I'm curious how you felt about Stray.
Oh, cat lovers too, though, Pablo. But definitely.
I really liked it because there's two scenes where the cats get chased, but none of them get caught. So I'm all for it. 2 thumbs up.
You know, we were terrified that one of the dogs was going to die. But then yesterday, we got an email from our local animal shelter promoting it as a fundraiser for them. So we knew the ending was going to be okay. We could watch it without anxiety.
But it's really, no, but it is. It's really good, isn't it? I mean, I guess if you don't like animals, you might not enjoy it very much. But it's an amazing picture of a culture where they don't just round up all the stray animals and kill them, where they actually just let them hang out on the street. And I saw that at a film festival that I went to years ago at Mar del Plata in Argentina. And apparently all Argentinian cities are similar, is that they just have a large population of big old stray dogs, which just sort of just hang around. And I thought it was quite wonderful. And I thought, what an amazing you could make an amazing documentary about these dogs, but it would be so hard because you'd have to spend months on the street with filming stray dogs. And that's what Elizabeth Lowe has done.
Well, I think she did something quite impressive, because I'll actually go out and say that even if you don't care about animals at all, this has a lot to say about the humans that are just out on the streets, because you basically follow the dogs as they bump into humans at political rallies on the streets, or Syrian refugees, or the dispossessed, be they homeless, be they glue-sniffing youth. I mean, it's really, and all those things might sound very depressing, but at the same time, no, it's you feel that people they actually care about the dogs, and you see a lot of just good behavior basically, and here on the streets among the dispossessed. I thought it was really quite touching.
Well, and you know that my favorite kind of art is the hybrid kind that uses a trope to get other things across. And what Elizabeth Lowe did incredibly was get across the fact that you're watching this and you're feeling sorry for the dogs. You're not noticing these children who are living on the street, and and then you do realize, and it sort of sinks in, wait a minute, these children are like the dogs, but they're even less protected than the dogs. They're not even protected by those nice older guys who are feeding them and watching them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, I loved the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story about the animals. It really is, and it's not sentimental, and it's really well done, really well shot, and really well edited, well directed, and yeah, it's a very good film. Everybody should see it.
Yeah, and Pablo, this is the second film in 2 weeks that has been an amazing achievement on the part of the director and the production team that we've seen, that you've sent over in totally different ways.
Yeah, in this case, I couldn't help. I mean, just one scene. I often was thinking about what it must be like to be the director having to follow the dog. I mean, and kudos, by the way. I get motion sickness if there's too much, shaking
Dog
camera kind
shots.
of thing. But I thought that it was all quite seamless. The camera always is placed down most of the time at dog level, which is appropriate. But then there's that one scene where the dog takes a crap in the park, and she films the dog doing its business and then zooms in on the end product while there's some Japanese tourists or some tourists. I shouldn't assign anything. And they're complaining. And yet I couldn't help but think, what are the people around there thinking of the person who's so with such painstaking detail filming this process, and that was throughout the whole film, really. I mean, there are scenes where the dog crosses in mid-street as there's traffic moving, and the camera person is right there also putting themselves in the car's way.
That was terrifying. It was also terrifying when the dog crosses in front of the subway train.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I think what you're saying about the way that people react is interesting, because that we saw that in that documentary about the artists in Scandinavia, that people have, even if they're junkies, even if they're sniffing glue and homeless, they're so media aware that they're able to behave like actors in their own story and never look at the camera.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, that even people who are like, well, everybody, whether they're very poor or whether they're, comfortably middle class, I mean, they have the ability to act like an actor when there's a camera around.
Although, I think in that artist documentary, they were actors, but that's just me.
But everybody in this case too, I mean, the guys who work in the shipyard and the guys who, the homeless guys and stuff, they all have that. Very rare does anybody obviously the director's making, or the editor's making choices and cutting out, moments that don't work, but it's still, it's good. I just like it a lot.
Yeah, everybody should go see it.
I want to read one quote that I just pulled up literally 2 minutes ago from the director. Quote, "I was captivated by stories like how in the early 20th century, when the Ottoman Empire was crumbling, there was a British diplomat who came to Istanbul, got chased by a pack of stray dogs, tripped and died. So the British government forced the Ottoman government to round up all their stray dogs and get rid of them. The Sultan at the time felt it was immoral to kill the dogs, so he exiled them to a neighboring island where they starved to death, and the Istanbul residents could hear the howls of the dogs from the island. And then shortly after that, the Balkan Wars happened, and World War I happened. And for the residents of Istanbul, exiling of the dogs felt like a curse on the city. Over the next century, the government has tried to get rid of these stray dogs in an attempt to modernize, to westernize, to become like Paris, London, and Hong Kong, where there are no dogs on the street. But the people fought for the rights of stray dogs to stay and for them to have rights that no other dogs in the world have." I just thought that was a very illuminating quote for the spirit of this documentary. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. Argentina seems very similar. I mean, it looked a lot like the streets of this big Argentinian city that I was in, where very similar kind of scenario. The dogs are just let be, It speaks well of the civilization, doesn't it?
Well, I thought I have to also get back to the form of the doc, because not only was it very, did it have a humanistic and also obviously a very good sense of the play for the dogs when they're just amongst themselves, even without the humans. But I really like the way it built up in terms of the footage that it shows, and it ends on something that I felt was quite transcendent. I mean, there's I don't know, the compositions and the way you get the dogs howling in unison with the when the imams are, there's like the prayers in the distance. I was very moved, and again, I'm a cat person. So
yeah, so that's good.
That was a wonderful ending.
Yes,
actually.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So stay through the credits, everybody. Don't shut it off before the credits. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was glad to have. I mean, I still have my favorite cat movie. My favorite cat film, I think, has to be The Incredible Shrinking Man, Jack Arnold's 1957.
Oh, is that where he does battle with a cat?
Yeah, and of course that's not a documentary, but I mean that if you're a cat lover, I just feel like, come on, you're going to have to gravitate toward the Incredible Shrinking Man, because that definitely shows a cat in its almost like the cat as King Kong to the poor guy who's like trying to survive. So, what about do you have favorite as dog lovers? Do you have favorite dog movies?
Oh, what was that wonderful movie where the dog keeps getting a little piece of cheese and has to make his way back to Denver? What was that called? Oh gosh, we loved that movie.
The piece of cheese. No, it's that.
That was great.
The cheese thing's okay. Hey, and Todd, you've done it again. Listen, I want to apologize to our listener because of all the references to cheese that were made last week. I'm concerned that our listener was made to feel uncomfortable by the constant references to a certain type of food, which I'm not going to mention again in this.
I refuse to apologize. In fact, I would double down if Alex wasn't here.
No, we have to be more respectful to our listener. Hey, and wait, there's a Konchalovsky update, right? Because there was an article in a popular magazine about Konchalovsky, the director of Sin, who we talked about last week.
Which update are you referring to? I know he's got another movie that's making some news.
That's right. Well, it was talking about him as the director of the other movie, Hello, Comrades. But the article reports that Konchalovsky's father was like super big in the old communist apparat, and he wrote the Russian national anthem. And then when they got rid of Stalin, he rewrote it to remove the reference to Stalin. And in more recent years, he's rewritten the Russian national anthem a third time to remove the references to Lenin and put God in instead. And
wow.
This was Konchalovsky's father. And so Konchalovsky took his mother's name. His mother's name is Konchalovsky, and he went to the United States to break away from, that whole privileged Soviet filmmaking world that he'd grown up in, right?
Instead, to go to a privileged Los Angeles swimming pool life. Yeah, well, and then he left that, went back to Russia.
And now, and now the interesting thing is his father's still there and still a bigwig. His brother is the head of the Cinematographers Guild, and also on the Russian Academy Award Committee, and they're all trying to get Konchalovsky's film nominated for the Oscar,
right,
for Best Foreign Language Film, and it has a very good chance because it's so anti-communist. But of course, by being an anti-communist film, it plays into the hands of Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party, because they are the number one party, and the communists are always nipping at their heels. So it's very interesting how the politics of how that will play out.
There's a lot going on there, and everything you just said. I just want to say that from the time of our last podcast, I also have a apology to Konchalovsky because I besmirched him as being the director of Tango and Cash, but in fact, he was only one of 4 directors. That was a that was a troubled production on several fronts, apparently, and Stallone was, kind of micromanaging and taking over on several fronts. So, I just want to set the record straight. Yeah, Konchalovsky was a hired hand who came in and only was responsible for part of it. Apparently, he wanted to actually make it more realistic. And as someone who just saw it, I can tell you there's nothing realistic about it at all. So he clearly did not
succeed in his
goals. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up, Pablo. Yeah. I was worried about Tango and Cash.
Yeah. Oh, and we also have to apologize to our listener because when they tried to watch Sin, the link was broken. But we fixed it. Jason fixed it. But
that is something, by the way, anyone listening, besides the person who doesn't like cheese, if you do ever have an issue with watching something, just drop us a line or an email or something. Let us know.
Definitely let us know. Contact us through the IFS site, because if the link isn't working, then obviously the IFS needs to know immediately.
Exactly. So we do appreciate, of course, your eyes on the links that we provide through our website, because it's helping us out. But we also appreciate any feedback at any time regarding anything at all. So thank you for listening. Thank you for keeping an ear out and an eye out. And we look forward to watching a couple more movies as we progress. And I don't know, it looks like vaccines are a little closer to getting evenly distributed. So who knows? Maybe we'll be able to watch movies in theaters again sometime soon.
Although interestingly, Stray, it really is a movie you can watch on your laptop.
Oh yeah. It
doesn't demand to be seen on. It's not like Sin, Sin you really want to see it in Munzinger.
Yeah.
But Stray, you can enjoy it on the privacy of your device at home.
And it'd be nice to snuggle up on a couch with some popcorn and watch it with a loved one and a loved dog.
Yeah. Well, were your dogs watching the movie, or were they?
Yeah, they were watching it. And one of our dogs was a stray. Well, they were both strays, but one of them was a stray for quite a long time and showed it when we first got him. And so it was particularly moving for me. We watched it in 2 tranches, and after the first night, I was just like hugging him and saying, "I'm so grateful you're not a stray anymore." Poor dogs. Yeah,
I'm sure that goes both ways. So.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a stray anymore. Hey, Pablo, did you ever see Thomasina, the cat movie, the Disney cat movie?
No, I did not.
Oh, that was my favorite cat movie. Anyway, move on.
Yeah, I should.
Well, it sounds like you need to see it, though. As a connoisseur of cat films, it sounds like you should see it.
I don't know if I'm definitely not a connoisseur of cat films. Because there aren't that many great cat movies just come to mind. And again, I'm speaking of films or like where they're like not Disney animated stuff specifically, because
it wasn't animated. This is a movie from my childhood, which was a screen version of a Paul Gallico novel about a cat named Thomasina.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
it's not a cartoon. It's a real cat.
I will write this down. I will. Oddly enough, what I consider to be the ultimate pet movie, which is very moving to me, and it still makes me get teary-eyed, is The Red Balloon.
Oh, I have never seen that. I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's stunning. Check it out. It's, obviously, on the surface, it's about a child and a red balloon, but there is no way that you can look at that movie and not think of what it's like to be a child with a pet and a pet that dies. It's it's a stunning movie, but it's not. But it has an ending that is it's esoteric and it goes beyond. So it's really something else. You absolutely must see the original, The Red Balloon.
I saw it as a little kid. It was I think they made us watch it or something at school, but I don't remember it.
Alex, this is crazy because we're a generation removed, but they made me watch it at school too. However, it really resonated with me. I think it resonated with me then, but it resonated with me even more as an adult watching it. And it's a short, it's I don't know, 20 minutes or something, but it's really well done. Just perfect execution.
The only movie the nuns made us watch was Gigi because somebody had given them a free copy of it. And I don't know if they ever realized it was actually about a girl who was the daughter and granddaughter of hookers.
Well, I'm sure no one told them.
Didn't they have another film as well? I thought they had.
Oh, yes, and Song of Bernadette.
Song of Bernadette was the other one. They had two 16mm prints.
Catholic school, yeah.
I think and sorry if I repeat myself on this, but when we're talking about being, watching movies in school, and I will never forget that when I was in, I think it was 4th or 5th grade, the teacher brought out a reel of 16mm film and started to project Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. And this kid who I was a friend with who'd read the story, and he blurted out, because you see this guy kind of take out a chicken and dismember the chicken. And then the kid blurts out, he's going to do the same thing to the old guy. And the teacher shut down. She shut down the movie. And I never got to see the end of it. Like to this date, there's so many versions of that floating around, but I have yet to see the version that was basically pulled from my, it was just, I was peeved at this kid because I really wanted to see it. And there it is. Still have to.
Archive.org. There's several versions on archive.org.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for piping in on this one. It's always nice to get some extra feedback.
And thank you for the recommendation, because it really is a good film. And either support ifs.org, or if you're in the Ashland or Medford area, you can support the Friends of the Ashland Animal Shelter.
That's right.
At fotas.org, fotas.org.stray, and watch this movie.
Yeah, and as mentioned, this director had a short film at the Ashland Independent Film Festival. Is that what it's called out there?
It is, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Also about the homeless, right?
Correct. Yeah. So she may have been out in your neck of the woods. All right. Well, anyone out there who's listening, thank you for listening. Alex, Todd, thanks for joining, and we'll be here again next week.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Pablo.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay. Bye.
And cut. Okay, that's a wrap.
Thanks again for joining Alex Cox and myself today. I'd like to thank Jason Phelps for handling the audio and Ted Thacker for letting us use the intro to his song, The Ballad of Slim Cessna, for the musical cues that bookend these conversations.